Sometimes entrepreneurs get so caught up in wanting the sale that they tend to lose sight of the fact that getting business at all costs is not always worth it. In fact, our next guest says you're better off ditching customers that bring you down and take you away from really good clients. Marley Majcher is the CEO of The Party Goddess, a nationally acclaimed full-service event planning and catering company. She's also author of the book, But Are You Making Any Money? Stop Being Busy and Start Creating Cash. It's so great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know what, I love this because we have a lot of people coming on and saying, fire your clients, fire the bottom 20%, but you're going to tell us actually how to do that.
I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it because that sounds great, but then when it gets to the conversation, it's sort of like, you know.
It's so awkward, first of all, and then secondly, you don't want them to then start bad-mouthing you.
Well, right, so you have to be really careful. I kind of liken it to when you know you need to fire an employee, you can't do it necessarily tomorrow, you have to lay the groundwork. So I talk about kind of coming up with laying the foundation, sort of setting the stage, like having a conversation with them. Like, I noticed that we've got this contract and we continuously are sort of outside the parameters, and maybe I wasn't clear about what the parameters were, kind of getting them engaged and teeing them up that there's an issue. And then the next part about it is really creating a script. Like, you have to have this kind of script in your mind so you know what you're going to say. Because if it's all of a sudden client is here, you're like, and it's not easy. You have to really be prepared.
Yeah, that's good. And if you know what you're going to say, you could just get it out.
If you know what you're going to say, and you have to kind of practice it a little bit. And the next thing, too, is you have to have solutions for the customer. You can't just say, oh, I'm firing you. That is when they will badmouth you, because nobody wants their ego bruised and nobody wants to feel like they've been left high and dry. So you really have to come up with some options. Like, you know, there are a couple other companies that I think would be a great match for you. Here they are. You know, they've got room on their calendar. Maybe it's your biggest competition and this person is high maintenance.
Head them that way. Talk to the other companies first, because that's a way also for you to engage with them.
Love that. And you know, a lot of times it's great because they can be your advocate if they've got a client that's just not a match. Remember, sometimes it's just a personality thing. It might be timing, it might be personality. There's just something is not gelling. But it's your job as a professional to really get the best for your customer. And so if it's not a match, you've got to give them options to move on.
So this anticipate objections is kind of like the writing the script. You got to be prepared for this meeting.
The anticipating objections is really crucial. So what you have to do is you have to come up, what are the top 3 things that they're going to say to you when because they don't want to be fired, most likely, or they would have, you know, fired themselves as clients. So they're going to say, but wait, you know, I thought I could do that within the parameters. Anticipate their objections and come up with a couple of believable answers, but then you have to practice them. You can't, the first time you go to fire a client, it can't be in front of the client. Can't stress that enough.
And then don't waver. As I'm reading all of these, I feel like firing a client, breaking up with your boyfriend.
It really is all the same thing, but then you can't waver, because somebody, remember, if you're firing a client, maybe it's because they're a bully, maybe it's because they were kind of, you know, really going outside the parameters of your contract. They're used to this, right? So they're going to think, oh, if I just apply a little extra pressure, the person will cave. Well, you can't cave. You have to know, I've made up my mind, be really calm, non-emotional, and just keep coming back to the fact that this isn't a great match, and you want them to have the best experience, and they're not going to have it with you.
Yeah, and I think the real key with this, too, is remembering your own resolve. I mean, if you've gotten to this point, if you're actually firing, getting rid of money that's coming in, it must be pretty bad.
Absolutely, but how many times when you're right in the middle of the situation, whether it's the boyfriend or anything else, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I could give it one more chance. You can't give it one more chance, because every time you give it one more chance, you're closing yourself off to those really amazing customers that are out there that are going to be a great fit for you, and it's not going to feel like pushing water uphill. The wrong clients are like pushing water uphill, and it's constantly annoying.
And forget maybe new clients, they take time away from your current clients that are really great.
They take time away from your current clients, and then all of a sudden everything starts to suffer. You know, it's like a bad apple messes up the whole bunch. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about.
All right, well, Marley, thank you so much. This was great advice.
Thank you for having me.